Bulavinaka, my name is Litia and I'm from the beautiful island of Laos and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
My name is Casey, I'm from Tabua. We love Today FM in Tabua. Today FM rocks.
My name is Selina, I'm from Tavenga Vengamba. I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks.
Pula, my name is Carlo. I love listening to the music
In the news tonight, online safety bill passes in Parliament. Acting PM says Pine Trust misused landowners' dividends. And over 200 child labour cases prosecuted since 2011.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Smith.
Irresponsible users of social media, be aware. The online safety bill was passed in Parliament this afternoon. Anyone found guilty of a range of offences under the bill, including the spread of hate speech or circulating explicit images and videos, will now face jail time and hefty fines. The bill, which was open for public consultation, was debated upon and passed by an overwhelming majority this afternoon. Akusita Tale reports.
Acting Prime Minister Aya Said Kayum says the people of Fiji need to be protected against those who take advantage of others by using social media. While tabling the bill this afternoon, Said Kayum says they have had numerous input by people who fronted the Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights. He adds people spoke about the absence of democracy in the bill, but these people failed to understand the trauma of those who were affected.
Some people who appeared before the committee quite incredulously said it is an affront to democracy. What stupidity. What's democratic about photographing somebody's genitalia? What's democratic about having lewd pictures of girls and having it go viral? What's democratic, Madam Speaker, of having a bill that's saying that we have a commissioner who can actually try and mitigate these issues? Not necessarily drag them to the courts, but mitigate these issues.
In response, opposition MP Nico Nawaikula says the bill was not needed to take action against those who were doing wrong. However, the laws needed changing.
We all agree, victims need to be protected, privacy needs to be protected. But this does not protect it. This does not protect it. I'll tell you how. The simplest thing to do is to amend the crime decree. Identify all these and make them criminal. Make the sentences more.
The chair of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights, Ashnil Sudhakar, says victims could not wait for years to get justice, and the bill ensures those wronged are able to get justice.
You post something now, within minutes it's all over the world. If you wait for 2 years for the court to give you a hearing date, the damage is already done. You're already there, you already faced the damage. No sort of remedy, no sort of fine will be able to remedy that. Now the reason why we have a separate function of the commission and a separate function of the police here is that there's civil elements as well as criminal elements to the bill.
National Federation Party leader Biman Prasad, siding with fellow opposition members, says the bill is not what was expected as most of their input was left out.
It is quite difficult to understand why government will rush into this law when there are existing mechanisms.
Because they have a particular political proclivity. That's the problem.
Prasad adds they rejected the online safety bill and claims there are many flaws in it. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
The government has revealed the Fiji Pine Trust, which looks after the welfare of landowners, together with forest-based companies and forest-based trust, mismanaged and abused money paid to them by the Fiji Pine Limited. Akusita Tale reports landowners who became aware of these failures raised their concerns with the Prime Minister a few years ago.
The Fiji Pine Limited declared a $500,000 dividend in 2010, and today it was revealed in Parliament the Fiji Pine Trust that received money on behalf of the landowners used a significant amount from this during the distribution, and as a result the landowners received next to nothing.
Fiji Pine Limited also pays 5.5% of all logging and cartage costs to what we call forest-based companies, FBCs, and forest-based trusts, FBTs. The monies paid are to be used for landowner business and community developments in each of the 6 forests in Bua, Madhuata, Ra, Lololo, Nandi and Nambo.
Syed Kayum further states the dividend and levies paid did not benefit the landowners.
For example, Boa Forest-Based Company and Trust has received $2.2 million from Fiji Pine Limited in the last 6 years. But rather than growing that money for the benefit of the landowners in Boa, the monies have been used up or diminished.
Syed Kayum says only Fiji Pine Trust with 0.2% shares in the company has full dividend rights.
To ensure that the benefits of the pine industry went directly to the pine landowners who leased the land to Fiji Pine, the lease security bonus payout was made.
Under the bonus payout introduced in 2013, money goes directly to the Matangali and the land-owning units that lease their land to the Fiji Pine. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
The government is looking at installing vending machines at various locations so that people are able to top up their e-ticketing cards or purchase disposable cards with ease. Minister for Economy Ayaz Syed Kayum confirmed in Parliament this morning that Vodafone Fiji is currently looking for suppliers. Pranita Prakash reports.
Vending machines will make work much easier for the public when topping up e-cards or buying a disposable card.
Vodafone will start having actually what we call vending machines. So at bus stations, various supermarkets, at shopping areas, we'll actually have vending machines. So people can go in, you can put in your $5 like you go overseas when you buy your train tickets, you get vending machines. You put in your $5, you get a disposable $5 card, or I put in my permanent card, I want to top it up, I put in my $5, it gets loaded.
Questions have again been raised on whether a dual bus fare system will be reintroduced.
Would government consider still introducing the dual payment system to cater for those who have no access to e-ticketing card, especially in the rural areas?
The short answer is no, Madam Speaker, because the dual system is not going to work. In fact, the question had been asked earlier on. The dual system is not going to work, Madam Speaker.
The Attorney General has once again stressed that if a bus company does not have disposable cards, then the passengers can travel for free. He says there is provision for this in the regulation. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
200 child labour cases have been investigated and prosecuted by the Ministry of Employment's Child Labour Unit since its inception in 2011. Minister responsible, Choneo Sumate, says this was done with help from relevant agencies. Sainyani Boiler reports.
The 200 child abuse cases that were investigated by the ministry were completed successfully.
And has withdrawn these children and returned them to the various schools so the efforts of the Interagency Committee on Eradication of Child Labour. And as I said, that includes the social welfare, the police department, the provincial administrations, the district offices, all of these working in tandem to identify children that are working, that should be in school, and working together with the Ministry of Education to take these children and place them back into places of education.
The ministry, now in its second phase of tackling child labour, has also trained officers from other agencies to help address the issue.
To date, my ministry has trained school teachers, police officers, sugarcane farmers, Fiji Sugar Corporation field officers, community leaders and labour inspectors on child labour awareness and monitoring programs.
Child labour is very well defined in the sugar industry. We are addressing it, but there needs a lot to be done, particularly in the areas of continuity or sustainability of this.
The Employment Ministry has also put in place a database to record all statistics regarding child labour so the ministry can closely monitor it and act accordingly. Sainyani Mboila, FBC News.
The Suva High Court will sum up the Fiji Time Sedition trial on Friday before the assessors retire behind closed doors to deliberate on their verdicts. The prosecution and the Defence Counsel submitted their closing submissions in court yesterday. Kelly Vadalo reports.
Prosecution lawyer Lee Burney in his submission said each of the accused is responsible for the dissemination of information published in the Naila Lakai on April 27, 2016. It's alleged the Fiji Times printed an article in the Naila Lakai newspaper which had content with seditious intention to promote feelings of ill will and hostility amongst the population of Fiji, particularly Muslims and non-Muslims. Burney said Editor-in-Chief Fred Wesley must have known about the letter as he had access to the system and was briefed about it from Naila Lakai editor Anare Ravula. Burney adds there was also plenty of time for Wesley to go through the article and he had a keen interest in what was being published. He said Wesley's task was to guide editors and he knew the risk involved. The prosecution lawyer said publisher Hank Arts and Wesley could have prevented the seditious article from being published. He stated they both provided a platform for writer Jose Wagambada's letter to be published and that they both set the tone of the business. In the case of editor Anare Ravula, prosecution lawyer Bernie had nothing much to say but found it ironic that nothing has been said in Ravula's favor by Arts or Wesley and that he has been thrown under the bus. He said Ravula is not solely responsible for the matter and has shared the blame. The prosecution counsel also stated that defense witness Paul Garrity was an excellent translator, but his opinions in the case was entirely useless. Bernie says the fourth defense witness, acting editor for the Nailalakai paper Unaisi Rotumbalavu, had said she pays particular attention to religion and ethnicity issues as it was important to respect it. He adds freedom of speech is important but should be exercised responsibly and the rights of all Fijians should be protected. Meanwhile, defense counsel Aman Ravindra Singh said the prosecution failed to produce any evidence that a letter published in Nailalakai created any feelings of ill will among the Muslims and non-Muslims in the country. The writer of the letter, Jose Wagambada, along with Fiji Times Limited publisher Hank Arts, editor-in-chief Fred Wesley and Nailalakai editor Anare Ravula are charged with sedition and aiding and abetting. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
Still to come, FSC gains by reducing management numbers and millions set aside to stop invasive animal species. Stay with us.
Bula, kera mai singa toka, kera ndo tali taka na varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and ndo moi viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Usi kombinasyon mo tikola ndo tali taka na Radio Fiji 1 kina ndo moi viti.
Ayaw kuya zo sila tali, nagurara may nawamanyi, nandunga. Gitu tali taki na ndo binasibale, nagundo rongo, varorong na Radio Fiji 1 ndo moi viti.
Na Radio Fiji 1 ndo moi viti na ponga ni BNN.
Government had provided over 43,000 food packs worth $1.9 million to Fijians who were affected by Tropical Cyclone Josie and Kenny. Acting Prime Minister Aya Said Kayum says over 150,000 people were affected and 8 lives were lost during the 2 natural disasters. Kelly Vadalo reports.
An update on the cyclone assistance relief effort was given in Parliament today.
As of yesterday, Madam Speaker, 23,896 households under homes care have been assisted at a cost of $29.17 million. Out of this, Madam Speaker, only 56 households were actually eligible for the $7,000 payout, as their homes were either totally destroyed or suffered severe structural damage.
The sugarcane care, welfare care, leaseholders care and e-transport care programs are part of the initiative. Said Kayum says the back-to-back cyclones mainly affected the agriculture sector.
Assistance to farmers to help in restoring local supply of crops and vegetables and stabilize prices. Ministry of Agriculture officials have been visiting various locations in affected areas to assist farmers. As of yesterday, Mr. Speaker, government has assisted a total of 30,697 farmers with a total cost of $15.3 million.
Government officials and ministers have been on the ground and continue to carry out the assistance. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
The Education Minister today clarified that teachers' Term 1 and 2 holidays have not been reduced to 1 week, as claimed by opposition MP Mikaela Lawere, but have only been reduced by 2 days. Aya Said Kayum says this is done to provide professional development for teachers. He says the 2 days were requested by the teachers themselves and were welcomed by the union.
During the 2018 budget announcement, we confirmed that the teachers would be required to attend school for an additional 7 days over the entire year. So 3 days before Term 1 begins and 2 days before the Terms 2 and 3. Professional development, Madam Speaker. The Ministry has been programming professional development activities for teachers in these days. We started on the 10th to the 12th of Jan and continuing on the 3rd and 4th of May. This was done at the request of the teachers themselves.
The Fiji Sugar Corporation believes the company has reached a different level compared to a few years back. When the 5-year strategic plan came into force last year, one of the issues identified was that FSC had too many general managers and managers. Felipe Naikaso has more.
FSC Chief Executive Graham Clark says work is progressing in terms of taking the organization in the right direction.
We started with a very bloated, top-heavy structure. Too many managers, too many general managers, and this head office that was kind of very, very overmanned.
With general managers and managers being reduced drastically, the FSC has shifted its focus to reducing costs and increasing sugar production.
We've seen a reduction in our costs year on year. You know, everything we've done has been self-financed. You know, we haven't got money to spend, so if we spend something, we've got to find a saving somewhere else. And we're trying to do it efficiently and in the right way for FSC and the industry going forward.
The important thing is to make the operation as efficient as possible, including being cash efficient, because at the end of the day we need cash. Improve cane production, sugar production, as I've always been saying, taking as much costs out of the business as possible.
Training of locals in their respective fields have also been a priority for FSC, as they also look to reduce the number of expatriates. Philip Naikaso, FBC News.
The government now has access to a grant of close to $7 million from the Global Environment Facility for the Invasive Alien Species Project. The UNDP country director says this project aims to curb one of the greatest threats to biodiversity in the Pacific, the invasive alien species. Anna Ravulo reports.
The invasive alien species refers to plants, animal and microorganisms posing negative and harmful impacts to human health and economic sectors such as agriculture, fisheries and forestry.
They are known to establish themselves very quickly and expand at the expense of existing biodiversity, thereby jeopardizing the well-being and survival of species unique to Fiji. They're often hard to identify in the environment. Just think of the camouflaging capabilities of the giant invasive iguana.
The acting Prime Minister says the funds provided will allow authorities to enforce the laws on this issue.
The assistance of Jeff, that Fiji has been able to access these funds, and that will of course go not only towards the direct eradication of species such as the giant iguana, that at the moment is primarily focused on the northeast of the Fijian Islands. But at the same time, can you imagine if we had some of the giant iguanas sort of swimming around Denarau, what it would do to the tourism industry?
The project will help establish the National Invasive Species Framework and Action Plan and implement measures to eradicate the giant invasive iguanas in Taveuni, Gamea, Matangi and Laudala, among other activities. Anna Ravulo, FBC News.
The 2018 Thurston Food and Music Festival will be another eventful day, says the organisers. The festival will be held in the heart of Suva at Thurston Garden on July 14th. Launching the event, co-director of Knox Entertainment, Inoke Kalonisinga, said the festival aims to promote the value of live performance. The festival is being organised by the Fiji Broadcasting Corporation, Knox Entertainment, Paradise Beverages and the Suva City Council.
For us, it's all about promoting live performance and integrating with the nation and keeping live music alive, and creating a space where everyone could come and enjoy and have a beautiful, beautiful time.
In sports later with Jamie, New Zealand-based referee engaged to help local referees, but up next is Rachel with business.
Thank you, Jackie. Good evening, and coming up. Ministry receives over 800 complaints from hotel workers. And in growing Fiji, Newbridge and Levuka to benefit 9,000 people. Stay with us.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकु रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची एफएम सुनती हूँ. मिर्ची एफएम is number 1. It's so hot.
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची एफएम सुनो अच्छा लगे. मिर्ची एफएम is hot.
हाय, मैं संध्या नारिया रेकी से. मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची एफएम सुनते हैं. मिर्ची एफएम is hot. I love मिर्ची एफएम.
हमें स्पिन तो बताओ कि मिर्ची एफएम में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे.
मिर्ची एफएम, it's hot.
Leading business tonight, 854 complaints were received from hotel workers by the Employment Ministry since 2015. Minister Chanay Esamate says the complaints were handled by the Ministry's Standard and Compliance Unit. Esamate says the unit carried out a series of investigations which led to the recovery of more than $48,000. Samate says some serious cases have been transferred to the Employment Relations Tribunal. A total of 1,600 inspections were done by the ministry at hotels in the last 3 years.
Period to the tune of more than $48,000. And this money is then transferred into the accounts of the workers responsible through electronic fund transfers. And 5% of the payments are done through checks, but most of the money now is being deposited directly into the accounts.
And we now join Rocco from HFC Bank with the latest from the trading world.
Thank you. Let's see what's making headlines in the financial markets today. New Zealand's global dairy trade price index rose 1.9% from the previous figures of 2 weeks ago. In Australia, consumer sentiment fell again in May as buyers remained cautious about the outlook for family finances. Their first quarter wages growth also came in lower than expected at 0.5% against the forecast of 0.6%. Meanwhile, U.S. retail sales shows modest gain in April, but upward revisions to March and February figures portray stronger consumer trends over recent months. The headline retail sales rose 0.3%, matching estimates. The greenback also gained momentum from an increasing U.S. 10-year Treasury yield, and which rose from 3 to 3.09%, the highest ever since July 2011. And that's all from me for now. Vinaka.
Thanks for that update, Rocco. Taking a look at today's currency exchange rate set this morning for the Fijian dollar. It was a good day for our dollar, which rose against 5 of the 7 major trading currencies we cover, including solid gains against our major trading partner, Australia and New Zealand. There were drops across the commodities market. The oil prices slipped a few cents to $71 a barrel, and gold closed down at $1,294 an ounce, and silver closed down at $16.27 an ounce. And in growing Fiji tonight, the Vuma Box, Naisongo and Levuka market bridges on Ovalau Circular Road are now completed and open for use. Fiji Roads Authority Chief Executive Jonathan Moore says the concrete bridges structures improved access and bring great relief to the community, especially children and farmers. Moore says the bridges have been transformed from single-lane bridges to standard structures with increased capacity. The bridges support a single-lane traffic as well as pedestrian footpath with safety barriers for vehicles and the public. The 3 bridges benefit close to 9,000 people. And that's it from Business Tonight. Jamie joins you now with the latest in sports.
Thanks, Rachel, and good evening. Up ahead in sports, Tuitumbo clarifies sports grants, and FNRL appoints interim coach. This and more coming up.
मैं प्रेमिला वायरुकू रेकी रेकी से सुबह मेरी आँख खुलती है तो मैं मिर्ची एफएम सुनती हूँ. मिर्ची एफएम इज नंबर 1. इट्स सो हॉट.
हम लोग बार टाउन के कैरियर ड्राइवर लोगों ने हम लोग के मिर्ची एफएम सुनो अच्छा लगे. मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट.
हाय, मैं संध्या नारिया रेफ्रिकी से. मेरे सारे दोस्त मिर्ची एफएम सुनते हैं. मिर्ची एफएम इज हॉट. आई लव मिर्ची एफएम.
हमें स्पिन टॉक हुआ कि मिर्ची एफएम में सबसे अच्छा गाना बजे.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
The Fiji Rugby Union has sought the services of former World Rugby referee Chris Pollock to help raise the standards of local refereeing. Pollock has been assigned to review all Skipper Cup matches and advise referees on areas they need to focus on. Vasnil Prasad reports.
Good hands that time shown by FRU has involved New Zealand-based Chris Pollock, who is one of the elite referees, to help the match officials and players understand some key areas in rugby.
All the games for the skipper he reviews in terms of referees, in terms of discipline things. And one thing we're cutting out that he stressed to the referees is the high tackles. Yeah? So we're quite concerned about the number of high tackles and yellow cards.
While game intensity in Skipper Cup remains, the FRU has raised few concerns with the provincial teams.
One of the issues we've raised with district teams, both in Bonoa, is in terms of discipline. We're continuing to have yellow cards.
As the competition enters its fourth round, teams will play their hearts out to grab a place in the semi-finals.
And I told the boys not to step down, to keep the momentum and come again there. And we're looking forward for the rest of the opponents.
Naita Siri is the only unbeaten team in the Skipper Cup and will hope to continue its form when they meet Nanronga on Saturday. Vashnil Prasad, FBC Sports.
While the Fiji Airways men's sevens team tops a relatively tough pool at the London tournament next month, skipper Jerry Tuwai believes it makes no difference who they are grouped with, as they regard every team as a serious threat. Fiji will take on New Zealand, Argentina and Scotland in Pool A of the London Sevens, all teams that are currently in the top 10 of the World 7 Series standings.
You know, this World Series, all the teams are really hard. We cannot write anyone off. All the teams are hard to play against, and for us, we will take one game at a time and we'll see from there.
Sports Minister Laisine Tuitumbo has stated that elite Fijian weightlifters are being given a number of opportunities to develop and prepare for international events. Tuitumbo outlined the various initiatives available for the sport in Parliament today when responding to a question from Opposition MP Ratunainga Malalambalavo. Meli Tavanga reports.
Opposition MP Ratunainga Malalambalavo had asked what sort of assistance has been given to sporting organizations like Weightlifting Fiji, who won a gold medal at the Commonwealth Games, to help better Fiji's participation at international tournaments.
Over the past 4 years, weightlifting has received government grants, support by grants from the International Olympic Committee to enable the elite and talented lifter to participate in international events.
Lalambalavo then asked Tuitumbo if any incentives have been allocated for trainer Paul Koffer, who has been helping our lifters attain medals in international meets.
The grant of the scholarship given to Eileen Tikmatan was since 2016, 41,761. Oceania Academy in Numea under Mr. Paul Koffer.
However, Opposition MP Aseri Randrondo then asked Tuitumbo if there are any plans for local training facility instead of sending athletes overseas.
Are there plans to localize the setup so that we can have more available participants in this setup?
Yeah, it comes under the short-term experts grant that we bring in experts and give them the chance to local to understudy them.
Tuitumbo then adds that the ministry has 4 different grants allocated to all the national sporting federations every year to train our local athletes, coaches and officials for any international meets. Meli Tavanga, FBC Sports.
The Fiji National Rugby League has appointed an interim head coach to guide the Fiji Mbati squad in the 2018 Pacific Test next month. Former Australian Rugby League player Matthew Adamson takes up the role temporarily following Mick Potter's departure after the Rugby League World Cup last year. Adamson was an assistant coach with the Penrith Panthers and has also played for Penrith, Parramatta and Canberra in the NRL and in England for Leeds.
The board of FNRL has selected a head coach. It's a temporary appointment, only for the June test match against PNG. There is a panel of selectors that will select the team, and the team will be selected from a base here in Fiji.
A young goalkeeper was visibly heartbroken after he was sent off by the referee midway through a penalty shootout in the quarterfinals of the Under-17 European Championship. Irish Under-17's keeper James Concoran was given his marching orders after he allegedly attempted to block a shot illegally, a decision that left spectators outraged and the commentators shocked and confused. That's it from sports tonight. Angie joins you later on with weather, and in the world of the weird and the wonderful, a look at the New York restaurant that serves a dish called the garbage plate. That's coming up.
Bula, kera mai singatoka, kera ndo tali taka na varorong na Radio Fiji 1 and Domoy Viti.
Ayaw na rin siya. Sikuminasom sekolah untuk tali tak na radio Sedition kena dombili.
Yang gue ada hasil tali, negara ramai nama mani, nandunga. Gitu tali tak jadi yang gitu benar sebalik, bukan untuk rongo. Barong na radio Fijuan.
In new media, it's blue in some light and purple in others. Add in the affordable price tag and the powerful processor in the Honor 10 is shaping up to be a decent phone. Shame the camera isn't up to speed. And we join Angie now with the latest in weather.
Hello there and welcome to the Weather World. It's the hump day and hope you had an awesome one. And of course the day throughout was mainly sunny and bright. Taking a look in the west, a scorchy one with light showers in store for tonight to cool that off. Eastwards from Pekaba to Suva, a lovely day mainly of sunny spells. And up in the north, a great day for running or jogging or just walking out outside, so you can imagine the weather. At sea, southeast winds gusting to 25 knots with rough seas. For the tides, low tide at 12:45 a.m. with high tide at 7:26 a.m. Sunrise at 6:25. For tomorrow, getting closer to yet another weekend. But more so, the weather's looking fine apart from few isolated showers. Tomorrow's temps, major centers will be in the high 20s. And looking further on to Friday, some great conditions and fine spells are in the bag. And that's all from the FBC Weather World. Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fijian Pulse tonight, we ask, should Fijian history be added to the school curriculum from primary level?
I personally think that it should be included in the school curriculum so they can know their identity.
I think the history of Fiji should be included in the school curriculum so that our children will understand and talk about it to their friends.
Yes, it is important for school children in the primary level to learn about history because most students are not aware of the history.
Fijian history should be included in the primary level so the new generation should know what is the history of Fiji.
Especially the generation nowadays, the younger generation and the future generation. They will totally forget about our history if it is not introduced or included in the curriculum in the education system in Fiji.
In the world of the weird and the wonderful, it might look like, well, garbage, but there's an art to Rochester's infamous garbage plate in New York. It starts off with sides, an impossible choice of French fries, home fries, macaroni salad, or beans. Recapping the main stories for tonight, online safety bill passes in Parliament. Acting PM says Pine Trust misused landowners' dividends and over 200 child labour cases prosecuted since 2011. Now for these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question segment this week, we're asking, if the 1987 Rambuka coup did not happen, would Fiji be a different place? Visit our FBC website to answer. Before we go, our shot of the day sent in by Arietta Ndiravola. Cute best friends, it's a beautiful picture from Lele Nukuloa on Ngau Island. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. You can also follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. That was your FBC News for tonight. From the team and I, stay safe. Good night.
Wrong on the radio Fiji one and the Weightlifting.
Ayaw na rin siya. Sikuminasom sekolah untuk tali tak na radio Sedition kena dombili.
Yang gue ada hasil tali, negara ramai nama mani, nandunga. Gitu tali tak jadi yang gitu benar sebalik, bukan untuk rongo. Barong na radio Fijuan, nandung Weightlifting.
Na radio Fijuan, nandung Weightlifting na buong kain ni BNN.